Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Wendy Costa, the creator of Powerful Women Ready for Partnership. I've got my friend, my mentor, a powerful single woman in my community on with us today, Shelly McWhorter. She's the creator of Learn Homeopathy Now. And we are going to talk about, we were actually out having sushi and just kind of wrapping up a nice girls' day together. And we're talking about her dating escapades. And I think it came up something about dumbing down the conversation for men. And we almost dove in, and I just was like, I don't know if we agree or disagree. I think we disagree. We're going to talk about it. I said, wait, I want to get this on recording because I know there's something juicy in here. I know there's wisdom, and maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe Shelly will change her mind. Maybe we agree. I don't know. But anyways, Shelly, thanks for joining me.
It is my pleasure, sweetie pie. That was a great lunch.
Yes.
Great on the coffee. And it was so jolting that we both had to go off in different directions.
Yes.
So the entire drive home, I was stimulated by that conversation. I'm glad we finally get to have it.
Yes. So I guess just tell me straight up, do you think you have to dumb down the conversation for men?
And I'm not really sure. Start back with what you were talking about powerful women, just being authentic in relationship, because I want everybody to have the context of why I would respond. Well, it's not that simple. Of course we don't dumb down conversation for men.
Well, I think your response, we'll back it up a little bit. So we were talking and I said, I just really want women to be able to show up as themselves and not feel like they have to play small or even that like demure, right? Fake damsel in distress, feign, weakness and things like that. It makes me crazy. Like I never recommend it. And there's women who are very much in touch with their feminine, and that energy, whatever it is natural and authentic. That's amazing. But women who maybe aren't or struggle or haven't spent a lot of time there faking it, it's like, I just want to like smack them. But don't do that. So we were talking, and that was kind of how I was like, how do you show up as your big bad self and be your amazing, powerful self on a date? Even have the confidence to do it, the finesse to do it, the language, I think is really important piece. And I said, and not feel like you have to dumb down. And you kind of looked at me sideways. You're like, are you sure you don't have to dumb down? I'm like,
okay. Thank you for that lead in, because I'm going to look at you sideways again. And, I just want it to be said as we start again into this conversation, of course, I would never want to be anything but my full, beautiful, authentic self. As a matter of fact, I'm at a point in my life where if relationship in any area of my life is not authentic, I just don't have time for it. Mm-hmm. So I would think, and we very, very much disagree. But you did trigger something that's really been, in my vision recently, because in the past year, I went back after a long time away to online dating. And, online dating is so not natural and authentic to begin with. To have all this, think you have some kind of information about a person, by having all these silly little facts that we put on there, which may or may not even be true. And, the whole process is so crazy and unnatural. But important, especially for those of us that lead very full and productive lives and are in our power, it's a time saver. Mm-hmm. It's a way to connect. And that's the word I really want to use in this conversation, is for me, all relationship is about authentic connection. Mm-hmm. And in that same sense, Wendy, you've watched me in the conference room teach. You probably studied with me 100 hours, in some of the healing modalities that we've explored together. And, over my 30 years of teaching, I've learned so often that I have to adjust my volume if I really want to connect, with the people in front of me. I'm very intense, and I digress, and I go off into, and I've even had, as someone that's a whole different pace and much more grounded, assist me when I'm teaching to kind of give people a reprieve from that intensity.
Yeah.
And so what I really meant and I'm finding dating at this later age in life than when I previously dated, it might very much also have to do with age.
And are you willing to share with us your age or little-ish?
Honey, I always share my age. I'm even honest on Match.com, and it's obviously been a real obstacle because I'm not even getting browsed for it. I went past that 59 browse button, and I'm 60. And, finding oftentimes that men my age, meaning 60, 65, really, put an age range of wanting to date 40 to, sometimes even younger, but 40 to 50-year-old women. And, whether they're going to be successful at that or not really depends on those 40 to 50-year-old women. But that is truly their fantasy. And, just when I put an age range of, 50 to 70, maybe I don't really mean 70. I really don't mean 70. So it works in both directions. However, when I think back to the men that have been in my life, and I love men, and I've had the incredible, like you, privilege of raising 2 sons into grown men, which I think gives us so much privy into how different they are than we are and their psyche. But, I love men, and I've had amazing men in my life, in my romantic life. And I know, when I was younger, certainly when I met my children's father and all through college and then, the 30s and the 40s, I could come in full tilt and be met with a lot of enthusiasm, and tremendous acceptance. And it seems like the older we get, the more easily intimidated and insecure in terms of dating and romance we all become. And, it's part of aging. It just is. Your body isn't as supple as it once was. And gravity starts winning, and things aren't as juicy. And, I could go on and on, but I don't need to explain the aging process to everyone. And I think, so all of us, men and women alike, find the whole dating thing so much more intimidating and unnatural after we've raised families and been in marriages possibly, and and maybe been in, a lot of the men are widowers or that kind of thing. So that's already there. And certainly I'm finding, as I date now in this later point of my life, that men that I meet are oftentimes intimidated in ways I would have never anticipated.
Like?
When I was young. I have had men share with me after meeting me that I've had the pleasure of getting close to. They come in and they see a beautiful home and beautiful gardens that I love and fun, just a beautiful home. And they don't want to leave, You show a man too early you're home. And, they see what I've accomplished and that I own my own business and that I'm at a point in my life where I've created a great deal of flexibility. And you would think that would be really, really appealing. But oftentimes they'll look and say, what could I possibly bring to the table? What does she need? She doesn't need anything more, which is a tremendous misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Tremendous misunderstanding. And so when I find that when, and we're just talking about meeting, Wendy. We're not talking about should I be my full self. I would never be in a relationship where I'm not my full self.
Right.
But initially, when meeting someone, in order to even make the space for the possibility of them to feel comfortable and want to pursue it, I've had to kind of turn my volume down a little bit. Be careful about that intensity and passion and enthusiasm. And like I would do it with anyone, women as well, focus more on them and wanting to know about them and enjoying them, not in a way of establishing, connection.
Right.
Having that connection that I want. And so in that sense, I think oftentimes it behooves us to just not come out with it all at once.
So how is that going for you?
It's not going really well because I'm not very good at it. It's like, what was I saying to someone? I'm really, and of course it was more about medicine than politics, but I said, I'm really very middle of the road. And like, they looked at me and they went, you are not middle of the road. I am. I mean, I love Western medicine and all that it affords. However, my passion and my education that I've created, my certification trainings are in holistic medicine. And it's really the same thing politically. I'm not very politically active or affiliated. And, I initially put middle of the road, and all these very conservative men started emailing me. And if there's one thing I know as the liberal that I am, is the definition of liberal is it's a little easier for me to be with everyone. Conservative people usually can find my liberalness a little offensive. And so, where do you draw the line is the point. When are we really middle of the road in anything?
Right.
And flexible and open and available. And so, if anything, it's just because my perceptions of when I've really gone slowly is probably not very slow as far as men are considering.
And this is like, so the question that comes to me, that keeps coming to me, is like this: is there frustration in the process?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Meetings, there's just so many misunderstandings. There's so many assumptions and judgments coming from both directions.
Yeah.
That is really frustrating for me. Mm-hmm. That is really frustrating.
And that's like because I'm finding, again, I think I say this a lot, but you talk to 100 women, there's going to be 100 different frustrations, issues, challenges, blocks, beliefs, whatever. Like every single woman is different. And so I'm like, I think I'm finding as I dive deeper and explore, it's like it's got to be an energetic shift. And again, there's going to be 100 for 100 women, but frustration is something that comes up a lot. Frustration, and also some, I think the frustration comes from like a positionality, right? Like the assumption is, I'm going to be interviewed. I think you and I have had that conversation, right? Even to get on the first date, I've got to pass an interview. And it's like, ooh, even that energy. I'm like, oh, I mean, I get it. And then I'm like, oh, how do we shift that? Like, we can't shift it outside. We got to shift it inside. And the frustration, like, it's like, I'm here. What I'm hearing, and I'll reflect, is like, to turn down your volume because you are really intense, right? I mean, like, you are, and that's part of what makes you amazing. Like, amazing at what you do. I'm imagining it makes you an amazing lover. Yeah. We'll just let that. But it's like there is. I get it, because I actually have. I have the same calibration issues. Right? It's like my coach has told me.
I like you calling them calibration.
He said to me, he goes, "Oh, you don't have a confidence issue. You've got a calibration issue, right? Or you don't have your issue isn't with tuning into your intuition. your issue is calibrating the delivery. You know, like, so, but even that, like, there's a little piece of me, I'll speak for myself, I get a little pissed. Like, I don't want to calibrate myself.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because I didn't want to interrupt you, but now I do. This is what I mean about intensity. See, right. If I get too excited, forget it.
Right.
When you said frustration, I was thinking in our world, of the Bach flower essences.
Yes.
That we both use in our practices. Frustration translates to anger.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad to hear you say pissed off. So I kind of started thinking, so we're not just frustrated with the whole process, we're really pissed off. And it's not just the calibrating. I mean, I think at bottom line, all of us, men and women dating, are pissed off because we don't want to date. We just want to be in love.
Yeah.
We just want to be with the love of our life. We really don't want to go through this whole process. And no matter how much we psych ourselves up and we give ourselves a pep rally and we go out there with this great open attitude, you know, it's just not really what we want to be doing. We want to be somewhere faster than we can get there.
Well, go ahead.
Number two, I think the biggest piss off that I'm encountering from men in the dating world, they are all so beaten down by what they perceive as women not having been honest with them, especially online. I mean, I've met men that insist on meeting me at the bottom of a staircase before they'll buy me a drink to see if I'm really, was that me or is that my daughter's picture? And that's really sad. You know, I know I've kind of moved a little further on, but I think that the emotion, the energy that you're talking about, where we're all so disappointed and fed up, you know, is the one that really has to be worked with and healed.
Right. And that's the thing, because I'm like, oh my God, because one thing I know, like, anger is very unattractive, right? I mean, it's almost, I'll be bold, like, it's repulsive. It's deflect, you know, like, if you want to love and openness and what you said, things like,
connection,
flexibility, openness, availability, connection. Right. Anger is going to, like, block it. Frustration, you know, all of it. It does. It's going to come down to anger or sadness. But that's like, so then what? Like, cause you can't, and I'm like, I get it. And then what? Like, in the pep talk, yes. It's just like I said, it's that is what needs to shift. And that is, I mean, if we, you know, again, you and I have had lots of conversations. I've known you for years, and I'm like, and I would call it for you, like, there's an edge about you, a sharp one, right? And when that edge can serve you, you know, it can be amazing, right? Because edgy is fun, edgy is adventurous. But, like, when you add anger or frustration to that edge, it's scary.
And intimidating. And intimidating.
And then I'm like, now I'm sitting here in front of you going, well, and then what? Like, now what?
You know, I want to share with everyone listening. I think I shared with you, you know, I really got a good look at that edge in myself. And I was sharing with you that a man that sounded very, very compatible with me on paper. I mean, just check, got in touch with me, you know, in the usual way, which was lovely. You know, nice smile, loved your profile, any mutual interest. And I emailed back and said, oh, yes. And he was right in my neighborhood, you know, right here in my neighborhood. And that was really attractive too, because what I like to do is just go for it. Like, you know, can we just meet for a drink? And then the only question is morning, evening, weekend, weekday, coffee, wine. You know, like it's just great. When are you available? And I've had the most wonderful experiences, probably several in the past year, with men that, you know, also wanted to do that and would pick a lovely place. I would want to kind of leave the ball in their court. Sometimes they were traveling further to my neighborhood. and just meet. And I'm very comfortable walking in. I already know what somebody looks like, or at least kinda. And that's what works for me. My life is very full, and the fastest, easy. I don't want a pen pal. I'm in business. I get hundreds of text messages, emails. Like, I want to clear the time, and then you have me at hello. You've got me. You got all of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I like to meet someone. And at the very least, I'm probably going to have really interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even make a new friend.
Mm-hmm.
At the very worst, right?
Right.
And that's been the experience that I've had. So this gentleman that got in touch with me that, seemed so ideal on paper said, well, here's my number. Let's talk first. And then we can also meet. So I kind of already am pissed. You didn't hear me.
Right.
I said, you have me at hello. Can we meet for a drink? I really came forward. I'm going to create time in my very busy schedule, and you're going to have all my attention. And I even emailed back and said, well, what really works best for me is for us just to set a time to meet. If you're more comfortable talking first, here's my phone number. You put it on your list to do, And so he did. He called me.
So I want to stop right there for a second, because I want to break this down a little bit, because
I'm already pissed, right?
Right. That exactly my point. I'm like, oh, because it's like, I think I did a little post about like the eye roll, right? You're on the phone, or you're not. You're emailing, and I'm like, the eye roll, because I can see it, and like he can't see it, or can he? Do you know what I mean? Like, does he get that energy that's coming forward? And it's like, even at that exact moment when it didn't, if I was going to poke at you, like it didn't go exactly your way, right?
Exactly. We don't like doing it the same way. And you didn't hear me. I'm already decided this is a man who didn't hear me.
Right. So we're already going sideways. Like, and again, and I'm not talking to him. I have no idea. So it's like even in that moment, like there's something, I think it's Alison Armstrong from her book, The Queen's Code, which I love, by the way. I highly recommend it. She was like, what if we shifted our belief about, because men actually have a reason for everything, like way more direct line of reasoning than women.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
And so
we go so off into our stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen, I'm a serious moving target, like all the time. And I like it that way. I mean, I don't want to think like a man, right? I don't. I like, men can do that. I'll do but what if your first thought, instead of he didn't hear me or we don't do it the same way, is like, what if he has a really good reason for whatever, for saying, can we talk on the phone? And I don't know what that reason is. You don't even need to know, but it is, as opposed to jumping to, he didn't hear me, we don't do things the same way. I wonder what his reason is. Like, I wonder what is good, what could his good reason be for that?
I found out what his reason was because I talked to him on the phone.
Well, but you're making it so you still are assuming, and you still have the energy of, he didn't hear me, or he wasn't listening. Like, maybe even you went to, he didn't listen.
Well, my assumptions, if I was going to make assumptions, I'd make assumptions that, he's not as comfortable as I am meeting someone he doesn't know at first, or he's had a lot of bad experiences on Match, and he just doesn't want to waste his time with one more woman that's not who she says she is, or I could make all kinds of assumptions.
Right.
But one thing I did discover, which may not be his reason for wanting to do that, is it was clearly I was being interviewed. Because his language at the end of the conversation let me know, well, now that we've talked, I'm willing to meet with you.
Yes.
But I get it. I get that I still don't really know the reasons.
Right. Well, and also there's a charge on, I mean, again, when I say give someone the benefit of the doubt, I'm not talking about, give them the combination to your safe. We can use that as whatever kind of analogy you want to use it.
You're so funny, Wendy. I love that.
But we're not going to give them keys to the kingdom. But, just move. And I'm pulling at stuff here, right? I don't know. But
oh no, you are so spot on. You like you are giving it to me totally. What you're saying is very helpful because of the chatter that's going on with me. It's like, I know it doesn't work for us to get on the phone first because we're only going to make more assumptions about each other and read more into what we don't know. And you're a man. For you, it's 90% visual. Just come meet me down the street, look at me for 5 minutes, and you'll know whether you're interested or not. Because men are so visual.
Yeah.
And, I was like giving them that opportunity. And that's exactly what happened. Talking on the phone just created more assumptions on both our parts, probably misread because he made a date with me and then he canceled it.
Mm-hmm. And again, we can track this back. This energetically started going sideways early.
First email.
I don't know. I can't even tell you, let's just pretend, if you had caught yourself or even better, never even needed to catch yourself, and you just went straight to, I bet he's got a good reason for wanting to be on the phone. Okay. And again, and then let it be at that, which is asking a lot, right? You more have to go okay, this critical voice over here is saying, didn't hear me or not listening or fucking asshole.
Keep it clean, Wendy.
Huh?
Keep this clean.
A little bit.
Kids look at your website. Come on.
That's true. They do not. But anyways, catching yourself in that kind of talk and going, wait a minute, let's just go with he's got a good idea. I have no idea how that conversation would have went. I have no idea how, do you know what I mean? Would back it way up on an energetic level, clean it up early, and ideally even shift completely out of that. Whatever. And again, the only word I have for it is positionality. And I think I can use that because I have a strong, energy of positionality, or I can. And I tend to have lots of people around me that do too. So if we can get off, what is the biggest question, the life-changing question for me in the last probably 2 years was, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? And, I go back and forth, quite honestly. Sometimes I'd rather be right than happy, but on the bottom line, I'd rather be happy. And happy means connected, in love. For me, partnership brings me a tremendous amount of happiness. It's not a deal breaker for a happy life, but I'm a lot happier. I just am. And so it's that kind of theme of, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And pick happy in dating. I don't know. Is that helpful?
A little.
Tell me more.
No, here's why I say that. It is absolutely spot on and informative for me. I'm not sure it's helpful. I'm not sure that knowing what you just showed me, that it really shifts it for me. That it really shifts it because because of my experiences, it's funny enough, I had a girlfriend visiting from out of town, and she had shared one of her half-hour meditations with me about success, and I had just finished with this centering thought and this mantra of I open all vehicles for my success, and I mean success on every level. And I walk in and I see an email from this guy. And I'm just this giant yes, truly this giant yes. And as soon as I got that imposition to my yes, I'm very interested in getting to know you. Can we meet for a drink? And as soon as I felt his leeriness and his need for more conversation that's only going to leave us more, really not getting each other's energy right, I kind of could have predicted, and I don't want to be right about the outcome here. I really don't. But anyone I've met, Wendy, I have had a fabulous connection with and a wonderful time. And there's no doubt in my mind they would tell you they walked away with the same feeling, even if another date never happened.
Right.
Like we both enjoyed it. So, thank you for, I think what I learned from it is when I feel that go on, my intuition is spot on. My intuition is usually spot on when I see that, I have this openness and this, yes, I really do. And someone doesn't. It just doesn't go well with me.
Yeah. And I can understand how, and again, because I know you have a really strong intuition. I mean, it's something you have nurtured for decades. And it's but when the part that gets, so you're a big yes, and then you're not met with the same big yes or whatever, maybe slower to get there. Like the part that shuts down feels more like ego than intuition.
Possibly.
Because your intuition is saying this, and again, this guy could be terrible, right?
It's really an energetic thing, Wendy. It's like doing a dance. And even though the music hasn't started yet, and we don't really know how each other likes to dance or that kind of thing, if you take a step towards me and I take 2 steps towards you and you go like this and I meet you like this, and then all of a sudden you go, whoa, it just feels kind of jerked around energetically. You took the time to email me, you reached out, you asked me if I was interested. And now you're not really. And I feel like that is exactly, for whatever his reasons, where he was at. Where he was at. And I intuitively sense that energetically. And I'm really willing to look at ego.
Well, and that's the part.
I'm really willing to look at that.
And that's the part that, again, it's like, because so much of my conversations with women are like, listen to your intuition, right? Trust your gut. And then it's like, well, and maybe this is like an effective sorting tool for you, right? You're like, no, he didn't, it's done. And you don't even go any further, but you've been doing this for a little while. You know what I mean? And this guy on paper, and again, it's not about this guy, 100% not about this guy. I'm just like, if we're breaking down the steps, where did it start to go sideways? Because you never got to actually meet him, which is where you're a master at connecting with people. And I think, and this might be another conversation, because I know you understand how to, like, I actually made an entire video about this, creating chemistry. And it's that skill of slowing down and like actually listening to someone without planning your response and being thoughtful in, it's not, I want to be heard. I want to be heard. I want to hear you. I want to hear you. I want to hear you. And when the response comes, it comes from that place of, I actually heard you, in the hope of, having that kind of reciprocal relationship. And I know you know how to do it. I know you do it because I've experienced you doing that. So you didn't get to shine that way. So, and I kind of talked about that a little more than I wanted to, but backing it up to my point, which has kind of slipped away from me, is there an opportunity in these pre-steps for you to have a shift in energy for when you get the big yes from on paper and all the bullshit, right? Sifting through it all, you get a big yes. Is there an opportunity for you to either manage your energy, as in clean it up, right, to that more benefit of the doubt place, give the person the space to maybe catch up. That's kind of back to what this call is about, dumbing it down, which we both agree we don't think is a good idea, but calibrating our energy is probably a good idea for connecting.
Yeah, I was the one that was rooting for that, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's a challenge for me, but of course, it goes back to connecting with people. Do I really want to connect with you? I'm going to have to meet you where you are, jump into the space you're in. And for you and me, and I'm going like this, like make the space a little bit bigger because we're that big, right? Slowly. So we can dance around and be our big bad selves. But there's a process there. But I'm just, for you, in this, you're at the point where you're dating and you're getting dates and you're going on dates and you want to get face to face. That back up the energy, I guess, is kind of and again, check your ego. Because the part that gets hurt and the part that gets contracted, there's an appropriate way. And this time, I don't know, because you weren't in danger. You know what I mean? You weren't, your cave woman was in danger, but your human spirit, your divine goddess.
Oh no, I wasn't in danger at all.
Right, but there was a contraction, even little micro ones. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Since we went off in this direction, both of us didn't mean to go so into. This could be really helpful as well, since we got a little more into what's so specifically problematic with online dating, which I know a lot of your clients are doing.
Oh yeah,
definitely an avenue. It's definitely a vehicle. I would love to hear or work through with you how to deal with the basic energy, which seems so prevalent. Every single man I've ever gone on a date with and has either asked me or I've asked them, what has your experiences with Match been? That's the particular dating service, Match.com. Could be any of them. I believe they're all interchangeable. I really do. And, over and over and over again, the energy of it before you even get to talk to anyone or meet anyone is, as I was saying, just so tired of dishonesty. It seems to be, most of the men that I met had met with a lot of women that were not honest about the most fundamental things, like their age or using real pictures. Or I only had that happen once, where a man actually met me that hadn't used his own picture. It was really, even then I had a great time. I found a guy really interesting, and it was very intriguing to me, like how he thought he could really get away with that.
Right.
And like, do women really not address, you look nothing like your picture? Like he had red hair and you don't have any hair.
Right.
So, you kind of feel like, and I'm sure men feel the same way, you kind of feel like before you even start, you're dealing with this energy of such pessimism. So and it's palatable.
Yes. So this is my suggestion. And this is the beauty of online dating, because you actually get to try stuff and you can dump it all and completely change it the next day or the next week or the next month. So I do actually really believe, like, even you do online marketing, you're, out there, and when you speak, like our tribe, our people, they gravitate towards your authenticity, right? And so if you have this right now, you're like, this thing, like honesty in online dating is a huge thing for you. Like you want it and you give it. So I would put that in your profile, not the first thing you say. Maybe, actually, you know what? Try it as the first thing you say. Like, I have done the online dating at 40 and I'm now doing it at 60. And the game feels different. People feel tired. When I go out with men, they're frustrated that nobody's honest, right? And be concise. I mean, we choose your words very carefully and pare them down. But like, I am committed to showing up honestly. I would love a man that values that. I'd say something like that. I'm actually 60. And whatever it is, this actually looks like me. I actually have had more amazing dates than not. I'm fun. I know how to have fun. I would love to meet you.
Do you know there are two different men where I've shared with them very authentically and very honestly, how I really just approach dating. I fully intend to meet the love of my life. However, I approach dating as just being really happy if we have a great first date or even a good first date.
Yeah.
But that's quite an accomplishment. Men have totally misunderstood that. They have totally misconstrued that. What they hear is, she just wants to date.
They hear serial dater.
I'm a serial dater.
Yeah.
I just like men to take me out. Like I need a man to buy my glass of wine or something.
Well, and that's where that's the communication gap, right? They have
unbelievable communication gap.
Yeah. And the thing is that men, they do things, they have a point. They don't do it unless there's a point. They don't even say it unless there's a point. So I would actually, that's a great, number one, I applaud you. I actually made an entire video about that. Just go have a fun date. No, this is not your earth is probably not going to pivot on this thing. It might.
Not only that, Wendy, I'm going to interrupt you. Not only that, it takes away that energy of hate the hair, love the shoes, would have to get new shirts. It takes away that, is this the one?
Thank you. Which is very unattractive.
And that's magical on meeting someone.
Yes.
And that's what I meant by it. But they don't get that.
Right. And understand, this is the thing. So understand, so they're not, I'm just going to say what's coming to my mind. They're not coming to you for dating advice. That would be feedback that I would get. If they called me and went my dates suck, and I'd be like, look, let it go. Go have a fun first date. Go maybe make a new friend. That's advice. And I'm not saying you gave it as advice, but they're taking it in as advice. And they're going, well, whoa. Serial dater, I'm not going out to spend $50 for someone who wants to just date. You know what I mean? They're misunderstanding. So bring that energy. Don't say it. Is that...
You're saying something, though. And I wonder if really it's much more simple. And I might hate myself. I might really make you edit this out. You might have to edit this out, girl.
Oh, no. No editing. No, go on.
Here's what really, really honest, authentic men have shared with me.
Yes.
And I've so appreciated it. I mean, men, that might be married or that kind of thing, but men like your kind of men, Wendy, that have done a lot of work on themselves and are really in touch with their feelings. And
my kind of men.
You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all the work that you do.
Yes.
And you talk about your tribe, the people that you hang with, those kinds of men. And here's how I'll say it to you, and then I'll go back and say what I think was going on while I'm talking and answering their question authentically, about how, wouldn't it just be wonderful if we forget about finding the one and we just enjoy each other kind of energy. I think they're just looking at us and wondering what it would be like, what sex would be like. I think they're very basic. They're very basic. They're either liking the way your tongue touches your teeth when you talk, or they're not up here, as we are. For us, processing and communicating and talking initially is foreplay.
Yes.
Men just don't work that way. They're very visual. They're very sensual. They're wondering if, wow, that means she likes me. She just went like that. I know when she rubs her hair that, she's attracted to me. They're really caught up in a lot of that kind of energy. So I met this wonderful man at a wine bar who he had had a terrible marriage. His wife had left, and he had raised his children alone, and then done a ton of work on himself. A lot of seminars. he was there waiting for a child that was at piano lessons, and I came to realize that I had met this stunning woman, absolutely fallen in love with her. She was just so interesting. The week before, she had been the one to take the kid to the piano lesson.
Oh.
But I didn't make the connection. But he was telling me how much he loves his wife and that they're moving into a new home and, you know, kind of his story. And then I was talking about wanting to travel. Well, this is a very successful professional man. And he said, tell me what you're looking for, because I have a lot of single clients your age that also love to travel. It's like, wow, I got a ready-made matchmaker here. This is great. And he was so sincere. And I started telling him, you know, I'm at a point in my life where I have this freedom and I can work from anywhere, and I'd like to travel, and, you know, here's the kind of man I like, and those kinds of things. And then I kind of did this true confessions, but I do have to tell you, I'm in holistic health, and a lot of professional men are very skeptical of vibrational medicine. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, don't introduce me to your attorneys and doctors kind of thing, you know. And this look crossed his face that I have remembered 1,000 times since. This look crossed his face, and he kind of looked at me. He said, Shelley, they don't care.
I was just, thank you. I'm so
kind of like, we don't care. We don't care what you do. Like, we care about a whole bunch of, we care how you move, we care how affectionate you are, we care how much energy you have, how sensual you are. I mean, we care about how charming you are, we care if you, we don't care what you do for business. And
I hope that's the last time you apologized about your job.
You know, just kind of like, no, I didn't mean it like that. Just letting him know that, you know, if someone's really entrenched in, I mean, I have gone out on dates where it's like, you know, BB guns, like, you know, that stuff is placebo. What are you thinking? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to teach medicines on my dates. So.
No, right.
But you get my point.
I do. And I mean, and all of that I think is true. And they're also kind of, I'm going to circle way back to something you said, is that like, what could I possibly bring to the table? You know, you either projecting or receiving that actual energy, right? Let's not go there. But like, they want to know, will she accept my gifts? And gifts could be money. Gifts could be, affection. Gifts could be being enchanted by someone. Gifts could be like what that men want to uplift their woman, right? Men want to, and it's not that you, and God, this is another whole conversation. Like is she into me, right? Does she, you know, is her hair shiny? How do her hips move? That's all very real, very real. And can I, like, will she be, quite literally, this goes to being an amazing receiver, can she receive my gifts? And all men have different gifts. And then your question is like, discovering what his gifts are, and do you want them? And so it's like, when you're met with that energy of what can I possibly bring to the table, there's a point at which it's totally about him and being insecure and not being solid in who he is and what he's about and what he has to offer. And then there's a point to be looked at as like, how open and curious are you about his gifts? You know what? And you don't need someone to complete you, right? We're way past that.
So let's go back to your original statement.
Yes.
And so if I just, as a woman, like, get where he's at, button it a little bit, just like button it a little bit.
Yeah.
And am that much more receptive, fluid, liquid woman, am I dumbing myself down? And you already covered when it's authentic and when it's not. I mean, we're not talking about, you know,
right.
looking up at him and you know, with stars in our eyes. We're just talking about, you know, I've seen it over and over again. I used to run and date with 4 of the most gorgeous women on earth, and they loved to dance and they loved to go out and they loved to drink, and they used to like say, what is wrong with you, Shelley? Like I'd be over in an intense conversation, with the busboy. Well, they just knew how to flirt, and there was this, but it was real flirtatiousness. It was really them going out,
right?
Them going out and letting go, and feeling their sensuality, and being just real liquid, and it just comes very, very naturally. Is that dumbing yourself down?
I say no. I say
that sure creates a better opener.
Well, and listen, getting in touch with your feminine, like sensual, amazing energy, I mean, that is attractive. And it feels amazing. It requires nothing from your adrenals. In fact, it restores them. I'm serious.
And it's very hard to do for women who have been carrying the whole show. When you were going through the list of gifts, you know what I giggled to myself? You know what a gift to me would be?
What?
Make a decision. Like yes. One of the many, like pack my suitcases and tell me we're going wine tasting for the weekend. Like, please.
Yes.
Because those of us that have, created a lot and run a big show, it's really hard for us just to go, okay, especially with someone we don't know. And all of a sudden,
I'm gonna get really coachy with you, because I actually, what you're saying is really, really, really important.
You have my permission to be really coachy with you.
I want you to talk about yourself. I've created all of this stuff. I struggle with slipping out of that.
The teacher, I'm sorry. I thought I was talking to everyone listening.
You are, but you're telling them your own, like, it's much more powerful for everybody, and it'll land. No,
I appreciate that. It is very hard to come out of a week of showing up and giving and creating and producing and, being on in that way. And with someone I don't even know,
I want to point something else out.
Go into that fluid, receptive woman.
You call it
very receptive woman.
You call it being on, which is the exact opposite. Like you're like being on in that way. That's the exact opposite of being like in your fluid, flowy, sensual feminine.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's even the way you're holding, getting there,
right,
stopping you from getting there.
Right. Got it. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and I think that's a game changer, and how you get there, how you do it, what it is going to take. I actually, I believe that'll change everything for you.
Say that again.
Just getting really clear that that's a good idea, and that would be fun, and that will get you better results, get you what you really want. And it's not about dumbing down at all, because when you get to know someone, and when you get that space, right, that container of the relationship grows and grows, where now you've got the man just holding the arena for you to just like woo and be all of that power and all of that passion and all of that, and he doesn't necessarily have to do anything but hold the space for you to be that, right? He doesn't even have to get it. That's my deal with my man. He doesn't have to get it all the time. He's just got to be big enough and strong enough and love me enough. I'm not even going to go with the charge on that to hold it. That's our relationship, and I get to love and appreciate and adore him for it. So not dumbing yourself down, and get committed to that sensual flow, feminine goddess. Send her on the dates.
Yeah, that's why I didn't date for quite a few years.
Yeah, I get it.
No, I mean, in all authenticity, that is very, very, very hard to create the space for in online dating, especially.
Well, yes. I mean,
going out and dancing, going out and living your life, going to the events that you love and doing the things you love, that can be easier and there can be space for it. But when there isn't very much of that in all the other things you're passionate and you're doing, and then it's time to go on a date, it's just, it's just not authentic.
I hear you. So
Honestly.
and that, oh no, I really hear you. And I think that is, and I will just, when I say I hear you, like I really, like sinking into my feminine, my goddess, that's been 8 years of really intentional, like work, quite frankly. I mean, it's funny, that's the opposite of what it is, but it is. And I'm still, I mean, it's still not this simple, thing for me. I'm way better at it than I was. And like the payoff is, it's such a worthy endeavor. I mean, we're dropping dead of heart attacks sooner than men.
For me, Wendy, personally, it's not go from here and bring that forward. There's an intermediary, which is me having enough me time.
Yeah.
And relationship with me is the transition fulcrum.
And you've been in that transition, yes? I mean, you got, your kids went away to college, and I think you started on this deep inner journey with, a love affair with yourself, I think you called it.
So life is very full for all of us.
Yep.
And so I have the incredibly fulfilling professional, family life, all of that. And I have the deep spiritual relationship and the yoga time and the meditation time and the beach walk time and all that nurtures me, which is the transition point.
Yep.
And life is very filled up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right
yeah.
there. Like really.
Right.
Like really, to really live in both of those, which has been my choice.
Yes.
And I think it's true for men and women. And then you want to go ahead and go through that transition and be a liquid woman and like be out there enough to actually find, you call it chemistry, I call it connection. It's pretty tricky.
So what, and you're right, and it is a choice. And so my advice, I hate giving advice, but would be that me time, and I don't know, maybe you're already doing this, but like put like goddess in there, your divine feminine goddess.
It's very in there. That's my point. That's where you have it first.
So, and how are you doing with that? Great. So then, I mean, even just add the intention to bring that, and then you are going to have to carve out time for dating. I mean, it's going to have to get higher on the list, or, like our yoga, we're going to end this call, grab our bag and get the hell to yoga. So like that, commitment to it time-wise with the feminine, I really do think that goddess, that feminine, that flow will, and I'm not saying it's like, oh, just do it. Like it's not that simple. Maybe it is, but keeping that in mind in your intention in how you.
That's what's very attractive. Yes, that's what's very attractive.
And this is not foreign territory to you.
Oh goodness, no. Done my work too, Wendy.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I can actually say it was foreign territory to me 8 years ago.
Yes, I watched that.
I
am privileged to have been part of that transformation. As a matter of fact, when the whole thing started, the whole conversation started, and you were talking about how you feel about the women that do that, and you just want to slap them and say, stop it. I kind of, remembered how much you slapped yourself.
Oh yeah. Well, that's exactly where that comes from.
How much work you did. And, in that sense, I want to share with you that watching your own transformation has been awe-inspiring. And probably leaves me with such understanding of why you are why you are one of the best life coaches out there, and where the probably is probably in the most perfect niche, or working with the most needed, desperately needed, that you have so personally, in a way that goes beyond words, experienced yourself and worked through. I mean, it's just so clear to me that all that you went through was so that you could be this gift to all of us.
Thank you. I do. It's funny because I sit there and just go, what, like we talk about being on purpose, living on purpose. I'm like, what better thing could I do with my life than help people call in like epic love? Not the, well, and it's funny, the old version, the 50s version of partnership, but like this millennium, this generation of like massive, fulfilled, powerful partnership and romantic love and juicy sex and goddesses and gods, and everybody gets to be in their strength and be more, like just show up. And
oh boy,
yeah,
our age difference, I've never felt more of an age difference, because to me, I'm doing a lot of nostalgic looking back on how people used to meet so simply without all the technology and be introduced.
Yeah.
And, so like to hear you say this day and age, it's like, and I do want to conclude, with everyone appreciating we are at different points in our lives, you and I. And I do think a lot of what I'm sharing, I would not have felt or said or shared. The issues that I'm confronting now and the work I'm needing to do is very, very different at this point in my life.
Yeah.
But I love
that's why I wanted to have you on, because it's not, we're not recreating wheels here, right? There's like this common wisdom that just, we got to talk about it. We got to share it. We got to dig in. So I love that. Thank you.
Well, I guess we really agree, Wendy.
Well, I think fundamentally we actually do agree. We do.
It was a semantic thing, and I knew it from the start. It was about, making the most important thing in any relationship, in any area of our lives, connection. You gave me a new word for it, though, compatibility. And I like thinking about it that way.
Calibration? Or
compatibility. Which at one point you called connection compatibility. You talked about, or what did you call it? You talked how you had already done a whole video on it.
Chemistry.
Chemistry, thank you.
Chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry. Yes. I wanted that word.
Yeah. Because you feel it's palpable.
And that's what we want, is chemistry.
It's everything it's everything in the first part of dating. It's everything. Being able to like get that little spark going. And actually that's a good segue into what I have to offer people listening to this.
Good.
Is I have actually a 15 video e-course and workbook it's a dating boot camp. It actually it's like a tune-up, back to basics, tune up your inner game, tune up your outer game, and really like just set yourself up for better dating experience. Get to that third. It's really about getting to the third date.
I want that. Yeah. I want that. Where do I get that?
Excellent. So email me directly. I'll send it to you. Email me directly, wendy@mydailyshift.com. I'll put that in the notes of this video, and I will set you up with your own password and access to the video boot camp. It's called Find True Love Faster.
You're giving this away?
I'm giving it away. I normally
can't wait to put this out to my gang.
Yeah, we'll promote the video, and yeah, it's just it's just good. I team up with a matchmaker. She's the know-it-all matchmaker. She's also another very powerful woman. You'll love her, Jolene. She's changed her last name. I
was with her when you met her.
That's right. You were with me when I met Jolene.
Together.
It's an amazing partnership. We have a lot of fun together. So anyways, email me and I will set you up with that. You get it for 45 days. So dive in. And thank you so much. This has been fun. I have a feeling there's another interview coming, if we can call it an interview, another conversation to be had as things progress for you. And I love you.
I love you too, honey. Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of fun.
Yes.
Off we go to our yoga mats.
That's right.
Go inward in order to go outward.
That's right. Yes. Bye.